What is up, everybody? Welcome to the party. This is Beer Guys Radio. Guys, this is our 400th episode.
Woo!
Do numbers go that
400th.
high?
They do, man, and
Oh.
we're going at it. Yeah, which I mean makes sense. We're right over our 8-year mark with a couple of I guess that shows we haven't missed a lot in 8 years if we're on episode 400.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
I guess 60. I guess that would mean we missed like 16, maybe, or
Yeah, I think we take like
Ish.
Christmas off and
yeah,
Thanksgiving
yeah.
off. that sort of
Occasional a
thing, but
guest
yeah.
doesn't show or an illness or something, but we've been staying on it pretty good. But with all that said, y'all, we are going to jump right into the show. We'd love for you to drop questions and comments there for us as we rock along here, and we will get this thing going. So let me. This is my part, isn't it, Nate? I think I'm going to turn this over to you because I always confuse myself. But for now, I'll do it. Let me get down here, make sure this is turned off loop, as I always have to do. And here we go. Welcome, everyone, to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining us. We are happy to be here, and we're happy to have you with us. And y'all, this is an exciting day, exciting time for Beer Guys Radio. This is our 400th episode. Do we have an applause sound effect? I don't know that we do here. So here we go.
Oh, yeah.
That'll work. That's the best that I
works.
can do right now. So we'll go with that one. But yeah, 400 episodes, just over our 8th year mark. So we haven't missed too many in 8 years. And number 400, man. So it's exciting. Now, this was going to be our episode with Truck and Tap, hot beers for cold weather, but Mother Nature said that this past weekend was going to be just horrendously stormy. Ended up not being that stormy, but we rescheduled that. So
Yeah.
we're going to go out there on site with them on February 17th. If you're in the Atlanta area, come hang out with us, have some hot beers, some Glue Creek. We're going to have a mulled barley wine. We're going to have our beer caramelizers out there, hot poking beers and stuff. It's going to be a good time. And then for our podcast listeners that aren't in the area, that show will actually come out the next weekend. We'll release that, but going to be a good time. Looking forward to hanging out with those guys. And you know what? As always, thanks to them. They have supported the show since before day one launch. So they've been with us here through all 400 episodes. We really appreciate their support. It has been a great time. But again, Beer Guys Radio, I am Tim Dennis with Brian Hewitt, my co-host. How you doing?
Hey, Tim. Doing well. How's it
And
going?
I'm good, man. I'm really good. And producer extraordinaire, Mo Mike Nate. How's it going?
Going very well. Glad to be here.
Good, man. Good. So we're gonna get right into it. Brian, you always do us the service of scouring the internet for the stupidest news possible. You keep an eye out for it. You look for the quality news, for good information, but some entertaining or just ridiculous news. And man, you got us a good one this week, right?
Yeah, I got us a case of this really should have been a beer because I would have been more into it. But Truly is coming out with a hot wing sauce hard seltzer that they're dropping just in time for Super Bowl weekend. In fact, by the time you hear this, it should already be out there if it's going to be in your market. Now, it's going to be available in just select markets. It's a 5% hard seltzer if you're into hard seltzers, and four packs of 16-ounce cans. That's about all I know. That it's coming out, and it's kind of ridiculous. And man, if it were a beer, I would definitely be on the lookout for it. As a hard seltzer, I'm like, I don't know. It's hard for me to cross that line.
I'm the same way, and I think it says a lot about us as humans that makes a difference. The fact that it is a seltzer with hot sauce instead of a beer with hot sauce. We're like, hot sauce seltzer? No, I don't think
mustard
so.
beer, yes.
Mustard
Hot
beer,
sauce,
yeah.
no.
Chili
Beer?
cheese beer,
Yes.
yes. We're good with that.
Chili
with
seltzer?
all this,
No.
right? Exactly. That's just
exactly,
ridiculous.
no.
Who's going to drink that, man? I love how they announced that it's going to be out just in time for Super Bowl weekend. Like they're like, oh boy, I'm glad we made that. So, but if it was around, I would try it. I would see what was up. I mean, I assume it's a seltzer that tastes like wing sauce. That would be my assumption.
Now that I've talked about it, I might have to get it just because I still have that last can of Modest's nacho cheese,
the Hormel
beer.
chili cheese, right? Yeah,
the chili cheese beer. I still have one of those that's been gathering dust, and I'm sure is tasting, I'm sure it's aged wonderfully now.
Yes,
And so
vintage.
it would be cool to drink them side by side for the big game. So I may have to do that.
You should donate that to one of our like premium beer bars here and be like, y'all, please put this on your cellar list. I really want someone to be I want
Ooh.
someone to be scanning through here and then see Modus Brewing, Hormel chili cheese beer. $25.
Yeah, you know what? I want it to be one like the charitable CBS bottle that we bought
Yeah.
the one time, $120.
Right.
It goes to charity. So I want somebody
Yeah.
to spend like $100 on it that goes to charity to drink
Yeah.
possibly the worst
That's
beer ever.
we fell for it. $150 for a bomber of CBS. And
Yeah.
we're like, okay, let's do it. $100 of that went to charity. So, you can't argue with that.
I didn't feel
And
bad
we got a
about
good
it.
beer.
It was a good beer. In this case, it goes to
Yeah.
charity, but it'd be like paying that much for a shot of Malort. You're
A
just not going to
Malort.
enjoy yourself.
Malort.
Yeah. Ooh,
I
barely.
You
got
get a
barrel-aged
complimentary shot
Malort
of
now.
Malort.
Yeah.
Thanks to Nate's recent travel adventures, I have a bottle of barrel-aged Malort, which is just as horrendous as you'd think it would be. So, yeah.
Horrendous,
I
but
called
also from a barrel.
I
Right.
called it barrel-aged awful.
Yeah. Got my Venmo request to pay him. It's like, for barrel-aged awful. I was like, yeah, no, I know exactly what this is. I've got this one. So I don't know why I enjoyed it. What's wrong with us? I guess that's the question I ask, because we see stuff like chili cheese beer and that. And there's beer purists out there that just think we're horrid for this.
Oh yeah.
I don't care. I think it's fun to try it. I enjoy a good beer, but I can definitely try a chili cheese beer to see what it's about.
If I can annoy somebody by drinking something ridiculous,
Yeah.
I kind of feel
Yeah.
motivated to continue doing that. So that's just part of my person. My character is like, oh, this annoys you. I'm going to do some more of it.
Like Mr. 4-letter word on Twitter, he really got bothered.
Oh yeah.
By our
outraged.
Yeah, like it bothered him like down to his soul that we were drinking stuff like that. So good times, man. Good times. Well, on the note of beer, everything's expensive now. A dozen eggs, I think it's $75 now for like a dozen eggs. It's just all ridiculous out there. Milk, you got to get a mortgage on a gallon of milk these days. And beer's no exception, Brian. Prices are going up in beer. What's that looking like for us?
Yeah, so I've got some new beer stats this week that the average case price of craft beer is up 3.6%, or was up 3.6% in 2023. The average price at all outlets, so any place you get a case of beer, it's $42.41 on average. That is $1.49 more than it was in 2022, but $4.35 more than it was in 2020. So just something that's interesting to me. I was scanning down through a large article with a lot of text and a lot of numbers, and some of it interesting, some of it not. I didn't realize that there were so many tiers in craft beer right now. So there's a craft tier, which is under $39.99. There is a premium craft, which I've heard about, which is $40 to $49.99. There is a super premium craft, which I also have heard about and thought it was a little silly. That's $50 to $59.99 per case. And then there's Apex Craft, which is anything $60 and above. So that's pretty wild. I also have some there's 4 beer styles that are categories. They say styles, but they're really kind of a conglomeration of several different styles, but grew in dollar sales in 2023. The Imperial Double or Triple IPA, which is kind of 2 different things mixed into one thing, grew by 10.1% that last year. Hazy IPA is up 1%. Blonde Ale and Golden Ale is up 5.7%. So there's a lot of interest in that style, which surprises
me. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Hazy, Imperial Double, and Triple IPA, which I guess is separate from the other one, is up 101.8%. So
Wow.
the Hazy Imperial Double, Triple IPA is up considerably, but even the non-hazy ones that are out there are up a good amount. So yeah, I didn't realize that hazy was still driving things like that, but I think that Voodoo Ranger has a lot to do with these numbers, and them driving
right.
things with their stovepipes out of convenience stores. So they're just killing it with
Exactly
that.
what I was going to ask.
Yeah, I'm surprised at the Blondell one. I didn't realize, that people were drinking those, especially not that it was on an upswing there. So
I wonder if the blonde and golden is because that style tends to be a little boozier. Because in general, I
Could
saw an
be. Yeah.
indication that higher booze concentration and much lower booze concentration was big in 2023. Everything middle of the road was either staying put or losing, sales basically. So people want really boozy
Okay.
or they want like super clean, super, healthy
Clean and
stuff.
light.
So
All
yeah.
right. All right. Interesting. Man, like I said, everything's expensive. I'm with you when I was reading through that and I saw the tiers. Now they called that one Apex Craft, which would seem to indicate they're trying to put a cap on there not being another tier above that.
Yeah, I
Super
guess.
Apex, what's next?
I don't know. I mean, if we hit that level of premiumization, I think that
I
everything is
guess
pushing for
so.
the next level. There's the extra and super. They just keep adding new terms onto things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Super premium, extra super premium, unleaded, all these different
I'm surprised
categories.
there's not a platinum in there somewhere because usually platinum
Mhm.
figures in as one of the tiers. Maybe at the top, maybe there'll
There's
be
room,
platinum
man.
Apex
I
platinum
mean,
craft.
what if we had a mega craft, like just going
The alpha and the
wow.
omega. I
Uber
feel
craft.
that I feel that that range is a little tight for craft beer because I feel like there's a lot of crossover there, especially with price. I feel like there's a lot of beers that would be on a similar playing field that would be in the market as far as the consumer is concerned, would be very similar quality beers, but price wise may fall into different tiers of this system there. So, and I guess maybe the point of this is just for tracking the sales, not so much
Yeah.
the individual beers, but
Well,
yeah,
and
I
some of the
think we're
ones
just
that would
having crossover there.
Some of the ones that would be at the top end, I'm not even sure that you ever see them in cases typically. I
Yeah,
mean, so I guess maybe I don't know how much of this reflects what you would actually see in a store or not, or if this is just like if we put all these bottles into a case, these big barrel aged beers into a case, would that how much would that be?
that's what it is.
Well,
Three
very
hundred
high.
dollars.
Yeah,
$300.
yeah.
Yep. Well, Brian, something we've watched quite a bit is the Anchor Brewing saga, and I know bids were in on that, so it's rumored or speculated that we may see some closure there soon, right?
Yeah, a bunch of articles suddenly sprang up all over the place. Like a couple of them said we'll see a verdict by the end of January. Well, here we are at the end of January, and I checked right before the show started to see if there's
Right.
any late breaking anything. And as of this moment, there is no decision, but there are multiple bids for Anchor's assets that are currently under review. That much we know, and there are definitely. It's been confirmed that there are names that we would recognize amongst the bidders. There's no guarantee that the property and the actual building property, the physical property, and the intellectual property will be sold to the same bidder. And I did check just before we got on the show and started recording that Anchor Union said that they are still waiting on some key events to understand where exactly they stand in the negotiations. After the bid results have been publicized, they will be determining the viability of each of these options. So they're not out of the running, but they sound like
Okay.
they don't know where they actually are in the running. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it
I
doesn't
guess
sound
we'll see,
positive,
man.
but I hope that they have good luck with that. I don't have any idea how this is going to work out. It's very weird.
Yeah, we'll just keep an eye on it. I thought from the beginning it seemed tough to think that a union would get the money together necessary for a purchase like that, but who knows? I don't know the resources they had necessarily. So, but it did seem like a long shot to me, them pulling that one off.
If they have the right people that are interested in it, that are willing to guide them, because again, these are people that worked in the brewery, so they aren't finance people for the
Right.
most part. I mean, there could
Yeah.
be some of the finance people involved in it, but I doubt it. So yeah, they are definitely starting off at a disadvantage, and I think Sapporo did a really good job of making it very difficult for them to have any
Sounds
shot
like
at
it.
it whatsoever. So
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely
it's
sounds like it.
not a good situation for them. Nope.
Crazy stuff, man. Well, we'll keep an eye on that one. Hopefully good things will come out of that.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we are in as when this airs, when this podcast releases, we'll be done with dry January. So
Yes.
as we record it, we're on the last day of dry January right now. So
Correct.
brewers dug into it this year more than they have
Yeah.
in years past. And I think that it's just a tougher time. And they were probably like, look, I can't handle this. I can't handle everybody encouraging people to go dry. And, we kind of spun our stance a little bit because in years past, we have encouraged, dry January and offered options for that. And I mean, I think it's good to give a break, especially if you're someone that indulges heavily, take a
Yes.
little breather, make sure you don't have a problem there. Can you make it through dry January? Give it a shot and see what you can
Mhm.
do there. But the problem with that is breweries are already hurting. January is already a tough month. And then you encourage people to go dry. And so some brewers spoke out, made fun of it. And, some became directly to the point and just said, this is our buy our effing beer in January stout, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So what are y'all's thoughts on that with the brewers with their actions towards dry January? Nate, what do you think about all of that?
So I understand how this month is really tough. We're coming right off of the holiday season, and for everywhere in the industry, it seems like sales kind of tank a little bit. And so I totally understand the frustration behind brewers and marketing people to make light of people's motivations to participate in dry January. Really like the idea of pub January or damp January, going out supporting your local restaurants. There's a brewery here in Atlanta, elsewhere brewing that they put out a post about it early in the January saying, we acknowledge that people do this, but for those of you that don't, it would really help out. It doesn't have to be us, but it would really help all of us out if you were to come out and support your local brewery. And I think that's a better play of doing it. Acknowledge that it's a thing that some people are going to do it, but then just be honest and say, look, it's hard for everybody. You want to keep drinking our good beer and keep, coming out to your neighborhood tap room. Show your support.
Come on out and do it. Yeah. Brian, how about you?
Yeah, I always cringe a little bit when I see somebody kind of making jokes or kind of belittling people for doing something that's healthy. So I think that's kind of a bad way of going about it. But the more honest approach that you guys have been talking about is like, hey, things are tough. Why don't you come out and hang out, and we'll make you a mocktail. You can have some, a burger and fries or whatever. Well, you could still hang out. And if you're not participating, definitely come out and support us. So I get that. And every week we have breweries closing, so it's not just, it doesn't sound like BS anymore. It sounds like, yeah, there's a real thing here. Like, yes, be healthy, but also, if support your local place. If you want to be able to continue to go there after dry January, find a way to support them during dry January. So yeah,
Right. Yeah.
the joking part, the belittling part, I've always thought was a bad move. But I get it, with some breweries, it's kind of their weird shtick, and it's kind of what you expect from them. And some of them may not intend it to come off as super condescending, but it's just, yeah, bad call.
Just
So
doesn't work. Yeah.
yeah,
Maybe brewers could maybe it could be kind of a meet in the middle thing. For one thing, we're seeing a lot more brewers opening up and offering non NA options there. So, perhaps they could look at that and have some NA options or do some other things through January, to get the people out. The thing is, and I know they want people to come out and support them just because, but we know in every business you got to do things to attract people to come in there. And so maybe as they know dry January is coming up, they can do some events or different things that would encourage people to come out, maybe even if they weren't drinking, still give them a good reason to come out there and have a good time.
Yeah.
Make some, what do they call those, agua frescas? I think I've seen some brewers do those before, something like that along the lines of mocktails. Have a mocktail pop-up even, have someone come in and do that.
it just occurred to me, a lot of breweries, and it really didn't sink into me what was going on. I saw a lot of breweries and social medias talking about hop water a lot
Yeah,
this month.
yeah,
So
sure did, sure
that's a
did.
smart one. I was thinking, why didn't more breweries talk about like some sort of a mocktail, or just selling sell athletic beer, if you can,
Right.
from your
Yeah.
tap room. And I just realized, like, yeah, a lot of them are doing something, doing a hop water, basically, at any hop water. So now you have a pretty good chance of going into a brewery and finding a hop water if you need something non-alcoholic, and you can still get your hop fix. So that's a
Good call.
smart move, I
Yeah,
think. Yeah, and I
absolutely.
think those are extremely popular right now. Yeah.
Yeah, they do seem to be having a minute. I know we've talked about it before, Brian, but what was your thoughts on hop water? Are you pro or anti?
I think I'm generally positive towards it. I've not been really wowed by most of them. I had one hop water I liked. I had a couple I didn't care much for. I think it's all right. I yeah, I don't want to poo poo it too much. I mm, I don't know. Yeah,
Okay.
just I'm
Whatever.
on the
So
fence
your
with it. I
opinion
would
is whatever. Okay.
yeah, kind of, whatever. I
Gotcha.
don't hate them. I like the concept behind them, but they're not really my chosen beverage. So
Yeah.
yeah. Did
Well,
you
that's
have?
it. Yeah, it's
th-
something that like if they're around, I'll try them. I think this brand may have went out of business, or maybe they merged with Hoplark that
Hmm.
we had,
Oh
and they
yeah.
did teas and waters.
Yep.
I mean, I've tried some of them that I thought were pretty tasty, but it just wasn't, just not my thing. If I'm reaching for a non-alcoholic beverage, it wasn't going to be a hop water. Was kind of,
Was it
my thing.
Brooklyn Brewing that funded or partnered with or maybe bought a
Something.
piece of Hoplark? I think that's what's
Yeah.
and I did like one of theirs. I think they had a mosaic
Uh-huh.
one that I actually was enjoying. I enjoyed. I think part of the problem is I got burned. I saw hop water in a convenience store locally. I got it and it's the same problem you have with IPAs. Even though it had been cooler, it was like really old. He's like, no, this is not good. And there's no effort on the part of people, at least at that shop. There's no effort to rotate the product, keep it fresh if it's not selling. It was
Yeah.
just kind of it sits
Gotcha.
there until it sells. And uh, silly me, I bought one that was really old, and that kind of burned me a little bit. So
Hmm.
That's
I I, th-
understandable. Yeah.
I think that is kind of souring my view on it. But I did like that. I believe it was a mosaic hoplark. I thought that was quite nice.
All right. Nate, you a hop water guy?
So I really dug it. I went into our website and looked it up. It's episode 273 from back in May of 2021 when we had Hoplark on the show, and they did have hop tea and hop water. I like the hop
Yeah.
water better, and I've actually bought it a few times when I see it in stores.
Okay.
There's a couple of grocery stores local. Publix is one of the chains that carries them, and I still enjoy it. It's a really nice if you want
Mm,
to have some of the grassy flavors hops can bring and a seltzer water. No, I liked it.
go for it. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good, man. Well, y'all, let's talk about our beers of the week here. So, Brian, you had a little from a local brewery, Three Taverns, a beer called Decatur 200. That was an anniversary for the city of Decatur. There was some connection there. What's the scoop on that one, Brian?
Yeah, I think that's it. The city of Decatur asked Brian Purcell at Three
Uh-huh.
Taverns to make them a beer, and it made them a cold pale ale. So it's an IPL.
Decatur's not 200 years old, are they? I don't think we got a lot in the States that
No, you know what?
maybe
I don't remember what the date was.
what the
It was an
200's
anniversary.
for. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
You know what? I should
And
have
then,
looked into that. I think that he mentioned
yeah.
what it was for, and I don't remember at all. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a
All
good
right.
beer though. That was my pregame,
Yeah.
so it was a tasty beer.
They do good stuff. They do good work over there. And then a little hybrid collaboration here. Dogfish Rodenbach Crimson Crew, which is a red ale, which is a blend of Rodenbach's Grand Cru and quote an off-centered red ale infused with sumac and sweet orange peel. I've seen sumac used a lot more in recipes and stuff lately. Not anything I've ever used. I'm not even sure exactly what the flavor of sumac is, but it's been trendy lately. I'm gonna have to check it out.
I don't know what it's meant to taste like either,
All
but
right.
this is good. I
Mago, would
definitely
you Google up the taste of what the flavors from sumac are? We'll come back to that. Nate is drinking from Bearded Iris, a peptile lager, and then our featured beer that we all have a can of today. And we'll throw this out there. Full disclosure: Nate works for Scofflaw Bearded Iris for the company there. And they did give us these beers. They're like, here you go, guys. Try some of our new stuff. See what you think. But we have all got their Juice Quest Hazy IPA. And I think, Brian, have you got into it yet? Or are you still working on your Dogfish Head over there?
I'm still working on that, and I definitely get a bunch of the Rodenbach in there, but it's again blended,
Okay.
so that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nate, I'm not going to ask you what you think of your Juice Quest because you're biased. So I don't want to hear. You can't. You would, if you didn't like it and you were honest, it could jeopardize your employment. So we won't put you in that position. But I'll just note. So this one, ever since day one, I've been pretty vocal that I don't like bitterness in IPAs. But that's not, it's a 95% kind of statement, because if there's some bitterness in there, but it's balanced, I'm pretty good with it. If there's some malt and other flavors there, the hardcore West Coast IPAs are not my thing. That level of bitterness, like back when we had those IBU wars, and it was 150, 200. They had one that claimed to be 1,000 IBUs. Absolutely not my thing at all. So this one, there's some bitterness there. You notice there's some bitterness. Then there is citrusy. I would say maybe lemon grapefruit, maybe a little bit of orange hint in there. I get what I would think is mango. Comes to me as kind of mango, and then a grassiness, kind of a green grassiness, balanced bitterness in there. And this finish is really clean. So I dig it. I enjoy this as a non-IPA person. This is an IPA that I enjoy. So
Very
that's
cool.
my take on it. Nate, I will hold on. Brian, you got something for us there, sir?
I do have something. I went and looked up the Decatur 200, and it turns out it was commissioned by the city of Decatur to commemorate the city's bicentennial celebration in December of 2023. So it is 200
was their
years old.
bicent.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I assumed that was the case, and then
All
I'm
right.
like, maybe it's not. I don't know, but it is.
All right.
It's
Gotcha.
200 years old.
Good
yes.
stuff. Look at that, man. DJ Jelly in here. Good to see you, man.
Oh,
Good
yeah,
to
look at
see you.
that.
Thanks for stopping by. A little hot sauce sensei action up in here. Another thing, I've got probably a dozen different kinds of hot sauce, depending on the experience, depending on what I'm eating there. So
what's your favorite one right now?
Hot sauce?
Yeah.
I am digging. You know what? I got to be honest, man. I hit. All right, Brian. All right. You calling me out here. I will tell you the one that I go to the most, and I would say it's my favorite in terms of across the board. Tabasco Green. I use that one a lot, but there's a few others I could throw in the mix there that I would say I like sriracha. I use it in a lot of things. I like good old Frank's, man. I really like Nando's garlic peri peri on chicken, and I use it a lot there. So that's you know what? That's probably my regular rotation. I've got a sriracha, I've got a Tabasco Green, I've got a Frank's, and I've got some peri peri, and that's probably my normal typical rotation there. So
by pure volume, I probably use more of the Frank's dill pickle hot sauce than anything else.
Oh,
I use it
you're
on
that
a lot
one.
of stuff. I love that. Green
you
Tabasco,
put that stuff on everything, right?
I do.
Yeah.
I've put that on just about everything.
Okay.
I'll even put that on eggs, and that seems weird, but I don't care.
It does.
I
You're
like
weird.
it. But before that, Green Tabasco has for a long time been a favorite, but right now it's that dill pickle Frank's is just killing it for me. So I just everything. I just like pickles and I like hot sauce. So just like that.
See,
that's all I need.
I enjoyed that one, Brian, but I have to say for me, that particular flavor is limited in its application. Obviously not for you, but for
everywhere.
Me it is. So do you put it on your 10 fish, Brian? You put it on your sardines?
Yes, all
definitely.
The time.
Okay.
And the worse, so here's the thing, and the worse they are, like the least I like them, the more I like them.
The more you use? Fair.
The more I like them, the less I use of it because it's such a strong but enjoyable hot sauce. So I'm like, I'll back it off and use something milder or nothing at all if the fish is really, really nice. So that's a decision there. But oh my God, it covers bad things and it covers good things too.
All right. Now that's a limited edition, man. So you better stock up because that one may just disappear on you.
I've got at least 1 or 2 more bottles.
Okay. All right. All right. Stephen Pete, thanks for joining us, man. Good to see you. Cheers to Kettle Rock Brewing. Guys, sad news. Kettle Rock Brewing is another victim of the craft beer downslide or whatever. They will be closing very soon. This coming weekend, I think, as this podcast launches. So if you're watching this live broadcast right now, go visit them if you're in the area. Go out if you're able and have the time. Go see the guys at Kettle Rock. Very good people there. Some tasty beers, gorgeous, comfortable tap room. So, Stephen, we're very sorry to see Kettle Rock go.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of folks that have been hit. So, thank you for your support of us and for always being awesome anytime we did visit. It's good. So, Tyler, greetings from Texas. Good to see you, man. Thanks for dropping in there. So, and to a question, DJ Jelly asked us, Kettle Rock Brewing, where? They're in Peachtree Corners. So, Peachtree Corners, Georgia. If you're hungry and you go over there, I forget the name of the place, but there's a hot dog and Italian beef joint right there. Bob,
that's a good place.
Up. So,
I can't think of the name either.
Yeah, go check them out. Sierra Nevada Narwhal there for Tyler enjoying. That's one I haven't had in a while, but that's a tasty beer. So I definitely enjoy
Yeah,
that
that's
one.
a good one.
And Nate, I'm going to rewind just a little bit, and I will say that Dog Days is the name
Dog
of the
Days
hot
is
dog
the
joint there
hot
by
dog
Kettle
joint,
Rock.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get
So,
there.
Yeah. That's a
Nate,
great place.
even though you work there, I'm going to let you give your opinion. What do you think of y'all's Juice Quest?
So I'm getting a lot of feedback from the market, and a lot of people who are not IPA drinkers like yourself say that this is an IPA they could enjoy, and a lot of beer drinkers even saying they don't like beer, and this is something they could enjoy. This one to me is really light and approachable. It's only 6%, so it's something that I can see myself enjoying even on a hot day, middle of summer. Want to crush a couple of these. It's nice and crisp and balanced. It finishes really dry. It doesn't have that overbearing bite that some IPAs can have. This is just something that I am understandably a little biased,
A little
but I
bias
do
there,
enjoy
yeah.
drinking it. Yep.
We'll put that up front that there's a little bias there, so you know what you're
Yes.
getting right now. Yeah.
And while I do have the microphone, I did look up what sumac tastes like.
Okay. Yes,
And
man, we've got so
yes.
many topics
So
going right
many.
now.
Yeah.
So and they said that the flavor, this is according to eater.com, the flavor of sumac can be likened to the tang of fresh squeezed lemon juice. It's tart and sharp, but also contains a hint of sweetness along with lingering floral notes.
Okay. Okay. I know I've seen a lot of recipes calling for sumac lately, and I've never cooked with it. Maybe I've had dishes with it in there and I just don't realize it, but
Somebody
interesting.
So
said it's slightly smoky and quite earthy as well.
Smoky, earthy, slightly sweet, and lemony citrus. Okay.
So I can because I'm drinking that was it Crimson Crew is what it is. It's a blend
Mhm.
with that in it. I can kind of get the lemony quality to it. It also has sweet orange in it, so there's a citrus quality. Floral seems about right. Yeah, there's a lot in there that I'm not sure about. Earthy, I don't know. That's maybe going a little too far with it, but I could see where it might be contributing. I'm not 100% sure if I'm really tasting it or if I'm talking myself into tasting it. So
Easy to
yeah,
be influenced by that kind of stuff. Yeah.
very much.
We want to take a quick moment here to shout out our show sponsors. They always appreciate it. We always appreciate them supporting the show. We don't have huge expenses, Brian. You know, it's not that, but we do have some. So it's really nice. Our Patreon supporters, our sponsors, help us do stuff like hosting, paying for licensing fees for software and various things, for buying sound effects like, you know, the robot sounds that we have in that. So, you know, let me pull one up because I want people to know when you give us money, it pays for things such as this.
Mm,
Now, where
money
would
well
we be
spent.
without that? So thank you so much for your support. And specifically, I want to talk about our friends at Terrapin Brewery Atlanta. We've loved that tap room since they opened up. We were out there in the early days, went out there, checked out the beers they're brewing. The guys there, you know what the big thing with them, Brian? They love beer. And there's occasionally negative talk for breweries that have been bought by big beer. And the thing is this is a local brewery out in our backyard with our friends working there and making beer and excited about making beer and using premium ingredients to make their beer and just having a good time and trying to put out good beers. And we're about that. You know, we're all about
Yeah.
that. So we support these guys. They support us. It's what's symbiotic, Brian, I think is the
Yes.
word that they use there. But if you go to Terrapin Brewery Atlanta at Truist Park, they're always going to have something new on there. They rotate all different kinds of styles. They always have a pretty nice tap list there on with their partnership with Fox Brothers Barbecue. So you can also get something really nice to eat. And even though, you know, baseball season is over, there's still a lot to do at Truist Park. Go down there, have a meal, have some beers, have a good time. If you want a stout, they're going to have a stout on. You want an IPA, they're going to have one of those on. You know what? I know they used to have a golden ale on there, Brian, and apparently those are popular these days. So maybe they'll have a golden ale on for you there.
They've had some
Gozes,
dunkles too.
a bunch of different kinds, dunkles. So Terrapin Brewery Atlanta, Terrapin Tap Room, go check them out. Support them. Support local brewers. You know, maybe not technically a craft brewery by the BA's definition, but they are local people. They're good people making tasty beer. So thank you very much to Terrapin Brewery Atlanta.
So if you missed it at the beginning of the show, maybe you're thinking right now, wait, wasn't I supposed to be listening to a show about hot drinks and cold weather from Truck and Tap in Duluth? I heard it was going to be the best show on hot drinks and cold weather at Truck and Tap in Duluth. Well, yes. And okay, we've got an explanation. We were about to stick hot pokers in our beers last weekend, but some nasty weather rolled in. And let's face it, nobody is coming out for hot drinks, an event for those while it's thunderstorming all over the place. Ain't nobody got time for that. So we rescheduled it for Saturday's February 17th. Mark it down your calendar. You won't want to miss it. It's still going to be the best hot drinks and cold weather show ever recorded at Truck and Tap in Duluth. In the meantime, if you're hanging out by Truck and Tap in Duluth, looking for some beers to keep you warm, I have it on good authority that they're still pouring the boozy, spicy delight we know as my very own Mole from Creature Comforts, as well as some barrel-aged Imperial Stouts from both Allagash and Stillfire. So head inside, grab a beer, and let them know that the beer guy sent you. And as always, thank you again, Truck and Tap, for your support. And we look forward to hot beers and hot drinks and cold weather at Truck and Tap in Duluth on February 17th.
It's going to be a good time, man. We are going to have a good time. So from Tyler, we've got a note talking about big beer in there, and it's a hot topic. And Brian, my opinion and thoughts have changed a little bit over the years there. But Tyler said, if you read The Audacity of Hops, if you want to learn the history of craft brewing in America and what the buttheads of big beer did to stop it. So there we go. Audacity of Hops. I haven't read that. So
I haven't either. Should probably put that on my reading list. Yeah.
Put it on the list. Do you read much, Brian? Are you a reader?
Well, I like having things read to me. I have an Audible account where I'll listen to stuff, and a lot of times it's for road trips. But if I find a compelling book, and it's just easier to fit it in if I can put on the headphones to just listen to somebody read it, even though I could probably read it faster than have it read to me. But so yes and no. I haven't picked up an actual physical book and read it in quite a while, though.
A while. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm the same way. And the big thing with me, like you said, I have to speed it up a little bit, because with some of them, the pace of them, it frustrates me. I'm like, I know I could read this faster than this. If I wasn't driving this car, right?
Yeah, that's right.
It would be a lot easier. Yeah.
I'm about a 1.1, 1.2 speed on Audible, I think is where I'm at. That's a comfortable speed. So even if I'm tired, I can usually keep up with what's being said. Regular speed, interestingly, is just wow, it's super slow.
It is. In most things, you can get away with a little bit of speed up without degrading. Even on YouTube, if I go like, you can do 1.25, 1.5. Generally, I can go to the 1.25 on most things, and I don't feel that it's degrading the quality. You go all up, you get crazy with 1.5, and it sounds like they're talking too fast and things are moving too quick. But I can, on a 10-minute video, Brian, that's saving me 2.5 minutes of my life there.
Yeah. 1.25. It's just efficient. There's just a lot of pauses you don't really need, and you get acclimated to that speed. So the pauses being shorter still, in context, still make the same impact. And you can adjust. I can adjust to 1.5. I've done it. Initially, it sounds like chipmunks, and I don't know, something happens in your brain when you listen to it, but you kind of recalibrate, and it starts to sound not normal, but understandable at a certain point. So yeah. But I don't like it like that. I prefer like 1.25, 1.2,
1.25, 1.2, 1.2, 3, 4, somewhere in there.
All the numbers.
I got a shout out on our Instagram feed for my new glasses. So for those that can't see, I got some new glasses, and these got blue blocking technology in them. So those crazy blue wavelengths won't come through there. So
space age.
Yeah. And Billy chiming in, just saying, preach, support your local breweries, man. Get out and support your local breweries. Let them keep them going, man. Keep them alive is the big thing.
You know that if tin foil can keep the blue light out of your skull too, so you should look into.
I should just put that over the glasses. Just
that way you will not have any blue light coming through those, and your eyes will be so rested and unstressed. It'll be great.
Yeah, it's going to be great, man. It's going to be great. Difficult to work, but very efficient at keeping the blue light out there. So
it's a small price to pay for health, though. Come on.
You're right. I can just see me getting on a Teams meeting with video. They're like, dude, what's on your eyes? I'm like, oh, I'm blocking the blue.
That's right.
So, it's my hyper blockers.
That's it. Yeah, they work perfectly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Back Flawless. To NA beer. We were talking about the dry January and the hype there and that. Well, if you did take part in dry January, there's a good chance that you chose, if you still wanted something similar to an alcoholic beverage, that you chose NA beer over NA spirits or wine. Probably, Brian. This is pure speculation, but it's because most NA spirits and wines suck. Is
Yeah,
probably a big part of it there.
I
So
suspect that's the case. Yeah,
yeah,
I've got the article here where the thing that we learned in dry January is non-alcoholic beer is king of all the non-alcoholic options, according to a Beer Institute survey. 58% of Americans participating in dry January chose low alcohol or no alcohol beer as their drink of choice. 55% of those surveys say that the quality of non-alcoholic beer has improved a lot over the past few years, which is probably why they went there. Beer
yep.
sales made up 86% of all non-alcoholic beverage dollars spent in the U.S. The non-alcoholic drink market now exceeds $500 million a year, up 31% from last year. And Athletic Brewing, relevant, is now the 14th largest craft brewer in the U.S., which I believe we predicted as in a previous episode that they would be in the top 15 at least. So they are 14th in terms of the rankings.
They grew quick, man. They really
Mhm.
grew. Good for them. You know
Yeah.
what? Good dudes over there. Good dudes
Yeah.
over there. So
Good beer.
I'm glad to see them doing well. That's awesome. Brian, again related, man, we've got so much here that we've talked about. Closures. You know what? We don't talk about openings much anymore. I can't remember the last time we really talked about that. But tying into what we said, Houston, Buffalo Bio Brewing may be closing soon. Close now,
Yes.
temporarily. You know what? Give us the full story there, Brian.
Yeah, so apparently the brewery defaulted on their lease with their landlord, and the landlord has terminated the lease and announced it publicly. Allegedly, Buffalo Bayou Brewing is deep in default to them, and the employees all received their final paychecks on Friday of last week. According to a letter posted on Buffalo Bayou's social media, the situation is temporary. They are working to settle their financial commitment with their landlord and reopen in the same place. So apparently Buff Brew, as people call them typically, has had some payment issues in the past. I noted that in the articles they talked about they were sued in 2022 for non-payment of financial services amounting to $94K, and allegedly defaulted on returns to investors they had on the Next Seed crowdfunding platform in 2021. So I don't know what to make of all that. I don't know the brewery very well, but it's looking dicey. Good luck to them. It does seem worrisome that they would open up in the same spot if they're having trouble paying their lease. But you know what? Who knows? It may work out for them. They may have got it all figured out. So, but that one is apparently a pretty one that hits home for a lot of folks that we know in Texas. So
Yeah. A lot of our Texas buddies were hit by that one.
Yeah.
Brian, it's something that in pinball, if
And
the ball goes down the center in between the flippers and it hits the bottom of the machine and it bounces back into play,
yes,
they call that a Lazarus.
yes,
So
Mm.
I've started like a brewery reopening. I've been calling that a Lazarus move, and it's very, very, very uncommon for a brewery to successfully pull off the Lazarus move. So I think we talked about it. I think there was a couple that did it, and I forget the names of the breweries now, but we recently had Pontoon here in Georgia, but it was a special situation. They had strong sales, they had a big fan base, good sales, and due to a very unfortunate business deal with a distributor, they were out like six figures, which just took their working capital from them. So theirs was a situation where they had the foundation there to keep going forward. They just needed a chunk of change there,
yeah,
But if you don't already have that strong sales and the ability to grow and go like that, then just getting more money isn't going to do anything for you if you don't have a plan for it. And I was very critical of a brewery here in the local area that they had problems and they closed. And everything following them on social media, they just consistently did not have the sales volume that they needed. They were not generating enough revenue to be a viable business, a viable brewery. That's just all there was to it. And when they announced their closure, a couple of their local fans said something about, hey, how can I help? I'll pitch in there. So they did a fundraiser, like a Kickstarter, something along those lines. I said right then, don't give your money to this, y'all. This isn't gonna save them. I understand, you being emotional and attached, but unless they had a plan to pull a Lazarus successfully, unless they had a plan on what they were going to do different, what they were going to change, where they were going to cut costs, where they were going to increase sales, and had a really viable plan, there's no point in throwing your money at something to do that. And Brian, from the day they reopened, it was 3 weeks before they closed again. So, that's just a thing. It's like, look, it's tough out there, y'all. And I don't want to see any brewery have a tough time, but there have been 2 or 3 other breweries that have Atlanta Brewing Company closed.
Yeah.
And we're going to reopen. We're going to reopen. We're going to reopen. Not happening. Not happening. Burnt Hickory Brewery, they closed and initially said they were going to reopen. And then finally Scott Hedin said, no, it's just not going to happen. There's a couple others that did say, hey, don't say anything to anybody about us, but it's not going to happen. It's just not the market for that right now. So that's a long rambling. That was a little soapboxy moment there for me. What I'm saying, y'all, is if your local brewery closes, it's really, really, really sad that happened. And I'm just sure that more breweries I love are going to get hit. But if they try a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe or something like that, there better be a darn good plan to change things to move forward, because if they're going to continue doing the exact same thing that got them where they are now, then throwing them an extra 10K is not going to change that. So
Correct.
COVID money didn't save them. So, you're going to throw 100, 500, $1,000 at them, and you may get you another 3 weeks of beer out of the deal. So,
yeah, hoping for the hit beer that rescues your sales and gets you on the news and everything else is just like trying it, being part of your strategy is like playing the lottery every day.
Sure.
Like that's just
yeah.
that just isn't it. You need, I mean, it wasn't the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got to change something. If you've got a plan, now you talk, but yeah, you can't keep doing what you have been doing, because it's not the same. It's not the same market it was in 2019 or 2017. Like, this is not the same place we were at. It's unfortunate that and I really wish it was, but it's just not.
And brewers should fight tooth and nail to keep those doors open. You know what? Go out and get on social media and be like, look, y'all, we're struggling. It's tough. We need you to come see us. Come see us. Come have a beer. Come not drinking beer. Come have a glass of water and buy a burger from us or something, do things like that. So y'all, I hope the brewers fight for everything you can, but I just think it's a dick move to take money from loyal fans because they're passionately connected to you, knowing that you don't have a plan to turn things around. So, that's it. All right. Let me step off of the soapbox so we can move along here.
Yes.
But Brian, in more beer drama, we've got tax things happening up in Oregon.
Yeah. Nice pronunciation of Oregon there, Tim. I know you did it just for me.
I did.
So yeah, the Oregon Health Authority has been accused of sitting on a 2021 study on the impact of proposed higher beer and wine taxes on excessive alcohol use. The study contradicts some of the legislators' claims that higher taxes would significantly help curb alcohol abuse in the state, and they are proposing those. What the study found was instead that the increased taxes would result, if I can get that out, in a small decrease in heavy alcohol use, reducing the estimated economic burden of heavy alcohol use by about 2% annually. And understandably, the Oregon Beverage Alliance, which includes brewers, winemakers, distillers, and everybody else, they're up in arms over the transparency, partly because I'm guessing they're a little upset about the proposed tax increases recently. There was a 3,000% increased tax from $2.60 per barrel to $72.60 a barrel. That was proposed in 2021 around the time of the study. And there was also a 1,200% tax increase to $33.60 per barrel that was proposed last year. So they've been proposing these massive tax increases. I guess Oregon has some of the lowest taxes on beer in the US, and they're they're just shooting through the roof to being the most expensive, and they're sitting on a study that basically says their whole argument behind it is bunk. So yeah, a lot of drama. I saw that mentioned a fair amount, and it's rare for me to see Oregon in the news. As a former Oregonian, I keep an eye out for it. So I give them
Yeah.
a little shout out. Yeah, this sounds like junk. Don't let them get it passed.
That is something, man. Those numbers they love to throw out there. They love to throw out there these things are going to these sin taxes, man. Sin taxes are popular to try and
Mhm.
Oh
they
yeah,
say it's for the children, for the health of the economy and all that. Like the states that do lottery when all other gambling is illegal, but the state can run gambling. Oh yeah, well, we're funding pre-K programs with that. We're doing
yeah.
that. So it's cool. So we can do that. We can do that there. So Brian, more closure news. These are some of the breweries that were purchased up by that big beer, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
It's something, man. AB and InBev closing some of their breweries, and they've sold out some of their portfolio lately. But these are a couple bigger names from their portfolio that are closing, right?
Yeah, and the interesting thing is when all these are getting bought, they always talk about how their partnership with the big beer is going to help keep them afloat, help them do this and do that. Well, the closures aren't, as you said, limited just to smaller craft breweries these days. AB InBev is closing Windward Brewing in Miami and Golden Road Brewing in Sacramento, California. The Golden Road facility apparently is already closed, and I saw pictures of people talking about that on social media and being very upset about that, especially the locals. And the Wynwood facility will close on February 4th. According to a statement, Wynwood Brewing is set to merge with its sister business, Vesa Sewer Brewing Company, that's also in Miami, and they will continue to produce the Wynwood brands. Golden Road beers will also continue to be produced, and those are available everywhere. We see them over here, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
kind of, I think that's big money for AB InBev, or reasonably big from their craft portfolio. And there's no indication as to where they're actually going to be made. So I guess everybody that worked there was just canned, and they closed the facility, and they're just going to move it to wherever it makes sense to brew it and just put it out into the market as is. So I can't ever see Golden Road and not think about the Golden Road area codes video. Did you guys ever see that
I
video?
have seen the video.
I have not.
Oh my goodness.
Do
It's
tell.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know
it's
what? We'll
beautiful.
share this. We'll
Yeah.
share this link around, Nate. We'll fill you in later on this video. Yeah. So
Everybody should Google that and go check
it's
it out.
something. You
It's
know
something else.
how when companies have corporate events and then you see their videos on Reddit where it's like this is literally a Microsoft event from 1992. And
Yeah.
it's like they're playing like NWA and these pasty nerdy white guys with pocket protectors and suspenders are popping back and forth to gangster rap.
Oh
It's
yeah.
Wow.
it's on that level of
It has that
cringe.
same feeling. Yeah. It's
Yes.
hard to
Excellent.
watch
Yeah.
without cringing to the point where I
Yeah.
nearly pull a
It's
muscle
something.
every time I watch it from cringing that hard. It's like, oh, nearly threw out my
Cringe,
back. Yeah.
cringe, cringe. Yeah.
But I can't
Crazy
resist
stuff.
watching it. I can't resist it. Oh,
Well,
terrible.
that's the thing. They're so enjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
It's if you're not involved in it, it's great entertainment, man. It's absolutely great entertainment. So, you know what? I'm going to say this real quick because talking about, Meg Gill, the founder of Golden Road, she was a bit of a celebrity brewer there for a while. She had a
Yeah.
show on, I think, on Vice called Beerland.
Oh, that's right.
That she was on, and she did some things, and it made me think. We're here chatting with our friend DJ Jelly is here. I was poking around on YouTube one day and found like a VH1 behind the music video, and they're interviewing and who do I see? DJ Jelly
DJ
right there
Jelly.
in the
Yeah.
VH1 video. So Jelly, I saw you. I ran into you on a VH1 video. I forget what song it was, but I'm like, wait a minute.
I know
So
that guy.
that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool there. But yeah, Meg Gill, she did Beerland, I think is,
Yeah.
went around the country. I forget exactly what it was like, trying to find a brewer or something along those lines.
I don't think I
That
ever
she was
watched it. I
doing
heard it
there,
was
but I
happening
saw
though.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched it a few times and she did some other stuff. But yeah, she had a moment of brewer fame there, brewer celebrity there. So,
I've
but
been meaning
man, I tell you
to
what,
Google to look her up on LinkedIn and see where she's even at. I'm assuming she's with AB InBev somewhere, but I haven't heard her
man.
name
Yeah.
mentioned in a long time.
Yeah, I haven't either. You know, that's it. I don't even know when Beerland, because it had to be 5, 6, 7 years ago, I guess. So, you know, I haven't heard it since then, probably. But y'all,
Yeah.
we're about to wrap the show up here. You know what? We want to spend a special shout out to our friends Jason and Leslie from Orpheus Brewing in Atlanta. They're beginning the start of a new adventure. They'll be having a going away party this weekend, and they're moving to Amsterdam. So it's something they wanted to do for a long time. We'll miss having Orpheus in Atlanta and hanging out with him and sharing beers. But he's going to start a smaller brewery in Amsterdam called the Hollows. And so we wish him luck there, you know, going with that. We're going to be out. Our friends at Atlantucky Brewing have an anniversary this weekend. If you're on the live stream, come hang with us. The podcast is going to launch the day of it. So if you hear us nice and early, you may be able to come out and check that out. But 4 years, I think,
Wow.
of their brewery there. So it'll be good stuff. And February 17th, Truck and Tap in Duluth, Georgia, for the hot drinks, cold weather. We'll see if we really have the cold weather then again. But either way, we're going to pretend like it is in order for the drinks that they want to go along with it. So it's going to be a good time, and we would love for you to come and hang out with us because we're going to party. We'd love to party with you. But y'all, that wraps it up for this week's show. We thank you for hanging out with us. We hope you have a great week, and do not forget to drink local. Cheers. Awesome. Good stuff. Instagram, they're going to cut us off if we don't cut this feed. So we're going to go ahead and end our Instagram feed because they're going to end it for us if we don't. But y'all have a good week, and we hope we will see you soon.
Yeah, I was gonna throw in there. I looked at Meg Gill's LinkedIn profile, and it's still showing her as the president and co-founder of Golden Road Brewing.
Golden Road still showing that.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
All right.
So it's not been updated.
Okay. All right. So be it.
Who knows? No idea.
Oh, Megan Gill. So, all right. Good stuff. Well, y'all, yeah, you know what? We're going to end the live stream now. Let me see. Did I miss any comments? I think I've covered everything there. So,
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, y'all have a good one. We'll be out partying this weekend. If you're in the area, then please do come hang with us. And we'll hit Atlantucky for their anniversary. I don't know what time, but then we've got the going away party for Jason and Leslie before they run off to Amsterdam. But we'll be around having some beers, and I'm sure we'll see a few of you around there. But anyhow, you'll have a good week. We'll see you next week. Cheers.